There are games that I like because of the characters. There are games that I like because of its consistent gameplay and glorious visuals. And there are games that do both of these things and treat its player base like complete asshats. Hi Hi-Rez, we're talking about you again. The game I'm talking about, given the technically two videos I've done / mentioned on them and explaining the business practices, shouldn't surprise you. Paladins, Champions of the Realm. I have a very love-hate relationship with Paladins. The things I said about the game above are all true, but I hate the way that Hi-Rez monetizes its games, especially in a way that makes it harder for free-to-play players to enjoy the game. As a foreword, a lot of this applies to Smite 2, and a lot of what I'm talking about existed in Smite before being recursively added into Paladins. If this is at all familiar to the Smite players in the audience, well, now you know you're not the only ones being screwed over. Alright, let's talk about them. This video is going to be structured kind of differently than what I normally do. I have so very many problems with Hi-Rez and its monetization schemes that I can't think of another way of showing it off other than splitting the episodes up into separate sections. They still all have the underlying theme of Hi-Rez telling its subordinate companies to monetize as much as you can be allowed to get away with. I won't cover VIP points or cards unbound or anything that's happened in the past. I will mention them, however. That has a separate episode. The card for that will be available in about 7 seconds. Strap in. This TV's a doozy. I mentioned this quite a while ago, back in DV Death to VIP Points, where the main bulk of the video was me talking about VIP points and why it was such a ludicrously bad reward system. In that video, I also mentioned of the player's ability to purchase voice packs. I argued, and I will still argue, that putting voice packs behind a paywall turns new players off, as they can't hear their character say, attack the objective, which can cause a disconnect between the player and the teammates. For you see, this is how the voice system works in Paladins, and I assume in Smite 2. Also call out to use the character's voice, but the VGS system by default uses a generic announcer voice, and while it does say in the chat what the character has said, that doesn't mean much to new players considering they don't know how their teammates play, or at the very least, if they're new to the character just because there's a new character coming out, they might not have a clear understanding of what they properly sound like yet. Having a disconnect between the auto call out lines and the VGS voice lines is A, immersion breaking, and B, it deprives your teammate of personalized information, and also the time that could be better spent on looking at where you're shooting rather than in the chat. It's objectively easier to train your brain to listen to voices of a character than it is to read out in chat after listening to a generic voice, which isn't exactly all that helpful. Since I made that Death to VIP Points video, paid voice packs are actually fully paid now. Not even the Champions pack gives you the voice packs, which is dumb in itself. You can't get a character's VGS voice pack with gold either, like you were able to do during the open beta. It was also much cheaper crystals wise too, 25 crystals if memory serves me correctly. Feel free to correct me in the comments. Now though, not only do they rob players and their teammates of tailored, useful information in a given character's voice, they cost 200 crystals per character. That's a price hike of about 8 times more than what it was being sold for previously. Hi-Rez's justification for the price hike and for this move was quite silly, stupid, idiotic, asinine, and money grubbing. So, why the price hike? Well, prepare yourself. You're not buying just the character's voice, oh no, but future skin voices for that character. Yes, you heard me, Lex.
Paladins actually was not monetizing at all. It was actually losing money every month. And as a company, that's just not something that we can continue to pour resources into. We wanted to save the game. So the 200 crystals for a voice pack, think of that as that's your little entry fee to keep the game going. Paladins was going to have to downsize the team, potentially go into a whole different way to monetize. Obviously they tried before I got here to do the cards monetization.
So let me get this straight. In order to get your own character's voice pack, you not only have to grind daily logins for 4 weeks, which is a long time by the way, or buy 200 crystals, you have to buy future voice packs for that character too, with the knowledge that if you buy it, you may or may not buy the skins associated with those future voice packs. 4 words for you, Hi-Rez, what a dick move. That's like a pre-order but on a smaller scale. You are aware of how stupid that concept is, right, Hi-Rez? Why can't you just give us the voice packs for free, or make them purchasable with gold like you were able to before, or subsidize the cost of the voice packs with the skins, or make the skins more expensive? I'd take those last two options over what you have currently, considering those are far less anti-consumer than what is currently implemented at the moment. Even if you disagree with me saying that voice packs shouldn't be made free for whatever reason, you must admit that charging 200 crystals is quite a lot. Get rid of this system, Hi-Rez, for what I hope to be pretty obvious reasons. Though speaking of future content and absurd prices, whichever person at Hi-Rez thought up the idea of making consumers pay for future content, which not only do you have to grind to get, but if you miss out on, you can't get it forever unless you buy the battle pass when they release it, or buy the season pass for the battle pass, netting your 4 battle passes in one, is both a genius and an innovator on how to disrespect your player base. The only saving grace is the battle pass season pass has the ability to retroactively claim rewards without grinding for the previously 3 missed battle passes from earlier on in the year. If you bought the season pass for the battle pass on day 1, then sucks to be you. You have to grind it out like the rest of us to get your rewards. Rewards, by the way, that you may or may not like. Sturgeon's Law is going to be in effect here. You're not going to like everything the battle passes have to offer. Hell, the ones that are currently released, I don't like everything in the first 2 battle passes. I just do it to get whatever I like. You're not going to like everything the battle passes have to offer, statistically speaking, season pass or not. I can't say much more really about this, aside from suggesting that Hi-Rez stops with this arbitrary exclusive content and release this season pass for the battle pass after the battle passes have been released, not way before any of them have been completed. But of course that would turn it into DLC, something that is apparently less attractive to Hi-Rez and probably makes less money for them. Making them purchasable permanently makes it that the newer players who missed out originally can get the chance to get it again, albeit at an increased price point. But then again, what do I know? I'm thinking about the players, not my bank account in the Cayman Islands. What am I thinking? This topic is pretty recent and will probably be fixed by the time this is released, but it's worth calling out here. The Dragon's Call bundle. 3 skins, a frame and a few other goodies. On the surface, not bad for 1200 crystals. However, what players may have not have known unless they saw the patch notes or watched the patch review a week and a half earlier, both of which you could easily forget about, is that you could buy the skins separately from the main bundle for 600 crystals a pop. Bit expensive for individual skins, I know, don't worry, we'll get to that after this section. Anyway, you'd think they'd be displayed on the landing page for the event. You know, like literally any other game would, and even previous events. And also just like the bundle the skins come from. Nope. They are all separated for no reason other than for obfuscation and placed on their respective character pages, which admittedly you may look at anyway, and also plopped on the regular in-game store where you have to search up the skin manually because we want to maximize confusion apparently. Point being, I am convinced they set this up to make the bundle more attractive to buy instead of being consumer friendly and, you know, not being a dick, and making it more convenient for everybody and putting the separate skins on the landing page. If they bury the options to buy the skins separately, then less savvy people who won't know about this won't know until it's too late. This was an attempt at hiding an alternative way of getting a skin that the player may want, which they even spoke about on the patch preview, sheepishly I might add. So if you wanted Dragonborn Moji for example, but not Outlaw Charlene or Overlord Khan, then this is the option you should have displayed to you next to the bundle. But it isn't, because that would be too easy. This is just simple UI design philosophy, to be honest. I had to post comments on Reddit and YouTube and all the other places that they advertised the 1.4 update, and obviously people weren't happy about this. Hi-Rez so far have kept suspiciously quiet about all this, which speaks volumes more than if they'd responded. Even if they had responded, I wouldn't believe them anyway. But it's nice to know Hi-Rez cares about players' choice by burying it in places the player will have to go to that aren't immediately obvious. Especially egregious is putting event skins in the regular store. Most players aren't gonna look there, as event skins aren't placed in the regular store normally. It's more ballsy when I point it out, isn't it? Wow, I have 5 pages of this. I mentioned this earlier, but now I'm going to bring it up. The prices of the skins, specifically the most recent ones, are wildly inconsistent with the older ones. Originally, it was down to whether or not the skin had special effects on the character and how big in size it was, but now it seems based on how much Hi-Rez can push the boat out and how much it can get away with. The most expensive skin in game before American was the Star Slayer skin for Ruckus and Bolt, which sits at 500 crystals. The price there is actually justified from a developer's point of view. Consider that Ruckus is the pilot and Bolt is the mech. The skin itself is big in size, it came with its own voice pack when it was released anyway, and it has special effects. The devs essentially had to design two skins in one admittedly small skin, but still relatively hard to do, not to mention rigging them and all the other things you'd have to do. It's a pretty decent price for a lot of work. American, however, is 600 crystals, and the most notable thing about the skin is that it's just big and gordish, to be honest. Sure, it has American stars and stripes related special effects and a voice pack, again, sort of, as we've discussed above, but I would argue the skin price does not match the work put into it. I'm not saying it shouldn't be expensive, by the way, and I'm certainly not saying Evil Mojo didn't put work into it, of course they did. But what I'm trying to say is that the pricing, in my opinion at least, is too high given how it looks. This is obviously subjective, and you're more than welcome to disagree with me on this, but for a better example of what a 600 crystal skin should look like is Khan's own Overlord skin, which was again released in the Dragon's Call update. It has more special effects, it's bigger, and it looks vastly more complex design-wise than American does. Dragonborn Moji is more forgivable for having a higher price, taking into account about what I said about Star Slayer, Ruckus and Bolt. It has two rigs, therefore technically two characters to design skins for, and it looks relatively complex. I still think even 600 crystals is a bit too much. 500 crystals perhaps, like with the aforementioned Star Slayer, Ruckus and Bolt, and don't get me started with Outlaw Charlene, that shouldn't be anywhere near 600 crystals. It's just expensive for the sakes of the event and to promote the mindset of artificial scarcity. In fact, a lot of what I've talked about can be just written down as this: unnecessary artificial scarcity for the sakes of making as much money as Hi-Rez can get away with, and strong-arming customers into buying now rather than miss out. And it works, unfortunately. The mind is a crazy place after all, and very easy to trick if you know what you're doing. This is turning into an everything wrongs with Dragon's Call video, I am fully aware, but there's so much wrong currently that it's kind of unavoidable without me talking about it. Smite players will get why I'm talking about the Vault, and this has been a thing for bloody ages. In Paladins at least, can't speak for Smite, if you buy the Dragon's Call bundle, you get a single key, a key for the Vault, which allows you to get a skin from a previous event. We'll ignore the fact that Hi-Rez said in previous events that skins were event exclusive, but whatever, you can change your mind at the flip of a coin apparently. Or you can get the exclusive skin from this event, Aurora Furia. The kicker is that you can't have both, and that is more problematic than you think it is, making you choose between the new and exclusive skin from this event, or a past skin from previous events that you may have missed out on, and Rave Mave for some reason. This system enforces the mindset of a skin being artificially scarce, and in return gives you the illusion of free will to choose whatever you please. To make this decision even worse is that there is no other way of getting keys. You get one key via the bundle, and that's it. No more, because that is totally not manipulative at all. Hi-Rez will say, and have said, they're only giving your player a choice as to which you use your key on. Don't hate yourself forever if you regret your decision that you can never undo. Also, yeah, no, I don't buy that to begin with. As a final note from me, Hi-Rez, and Evil Mojo, you're guilty too to some degree at least, this is what I have to say. If you make your shit available to purchase, people will buy it. Build it and they will come. Stop hiding your monetization behind crystal paywalls that shouldn't exist. A season pass battle pass that should be retired for crying out loud, on the grounds that is manipulative AF, and lest EA cotton onto the same idea. Stop being anti-consumer with how you handle content. It costs literally nothing to show actual compassion to your player base, not ride on the success of memes that Reddit created for you. I am not against the monetization of Paladins or the rest of your games, Hi-Rez, as negative as I am in this video. I want this game to succeed, which is why I didn't mention the ability to purchase characters, or your DLC, or your loot boxes. Those could do with an overhaul, as you have so goddamn many of them in rotation. What I am against, however, is trying to pummel your players, particularly new players, with crystal purchases at every turn. Yes, you make free-to-play games, you have to make money somewhere, but this is Candy Crush levels of monetization absurdity. You're not doing all this unnecessary crap because you have to, but because you want to, and that's that's very clear given how you've treated Paladins in the past with cards unbound and VIP points. Here is an amazing idea, Hi-Rez, okay? Are you listening? Do what you said you would do and make money off of skins, the battle pass, crystal microtransactions, the champions pack, and loot boxes only. Is that not enough? Because I think most will agree that that's enough forms of revenue to sustain a game. That's it. Nothing else. It is not a list that needs to get longer because you arbitrarily feel like it. You do not need to make money in any other way. So do everyone a solid and go back behind the scenes and fix your games. Sorry for being so bitter, audience, and leading on to a tiny little rant, but I think I deserve to be at least a little bit salty. And with that, I thank you very much for listening, everyone. I will probably calm down soon. This company is going to stress kill me, I take it.